This is my 11-year journey. This is the story of how I gained conscious awareness into what has and is going on involving strange technological surveillance experiments used on United States citizens. My intentions are not to hurt anyone's reputation. If anyone I am about to mention is offended, feel free to prove that my accusations are not true. It would put my mind at ease to know what I believe now is a miscalculation, though I do feel like everything I'm about to present to you does lead directly back to a man named Brian Hicks. He is currently the director of the Cross Warfare Program within the U.S. Navy. It is important to note that this is the same man who tried to make the Information Awareness Office an actual fraction of the U.S. Department of Defense in the years from 2002 to 2004, while working for a large third-party business called SAC, Science Applications International Corporation. SAC provides government services and information technology support. If I am correct, you will soon see how this man ties into my life and how his endeavors have affected me personally. It was late summer 2004. My grandparents' neighbors had just finished building his new cell phone tower in the woods, approximately 400 feet behind his house. Those neighbors have always been tinkering with the latest technologies. There are actually two brothers. One brother lives on the same road as my family. Let's call him D. D's house is approximately 350 feet south of my grandparents' house, which leaves the cell phone tower approximately 600 feet from my family's residence. The other brother is named R. R lives across our road and the main state road that runs parallel. R's residence is directly east, about 500 feet away. R has an FCC-issued amateur ham radio license, extra status, which is the highest status available. His wife, C, also has a license, but only an advanced status. She is a neurologist by trade. R also runs the largest Intercept Radio services in the U.S. and possibly in the world. It can be found at interceptradio.com. I thought it might be interesting to add that the late father's name is R. Sr. The father trained within the U.S. Coast Guard as a ham radio operator around the very end of World War II. It was always obvious that the father's passion for technology had passed off to his two sons. They always had big satellite receivers in their yards and long pointed antennas coming from the rooftops. My father said they were always into that stuff, and for as long as he can remember. My father was born in the early 60s. He also said he really doesn't know anything about them because they always kept to themselves. The same year, 2004, I began living at my grandparents' house in order to attend college. One night, I was reading in my bed and started getting sleepy, so I reached over my boyfriend, John, placed my eyeglasses on the nightstand, and laid back down on my back. I laid there looking up at the ceiling, watching the light from headlights swish across the walls and ceiling. At that point in my life, I had grown accustomed to the pattern the headlights always made. All of a sudden, I realized that there was an unfamiliar shadow being cast on the ceiling. After a few seconds, my curiosity got the best of me, so I reached back over John to retrieve my glasses from the nightstand. I'm nearsighted. I looked back at the ceiling and saw it had two red glowing eyes. Of course, in that instant, I reached over and shook John frantically awake. The moment I pointed at it, the thing vanished. John did not have a chance to see it, and to this day I have not seen it since. I did not recall this incident until 2013, almost 10 years later, right before I turned 30 years of age. It is important to note that the eyes did not look organic, more like dim laser beams. I have a picture here. The one that I saw looked like this guy, except he had shoulders like this guy, but no hat. Around the same time in 2004, I had a strange dream. I knew immediately after waking up it had not come from my own subconscious, and it was unlike any dream I had ever had. Try to imagine a picture being close up and then zoomed out. The first image I saw was of a blue eye really close to my face. As it zoomed out, I realized there was a triangle around it. Then I noticed that triangle was the top of a pyramid. A beam of light shone out from the pupil of the eye and down onto the earth. Immediately after waking, I explained my dream to John. He said that sounds like the picture on the back of the dollar bill. And he was half right. The first part of my dream was that exact image. Later on that day, I Googled, what does it mean to see the all-seeing eye in a dream? The only answer I could find was that it was an enlightenment from God. I wasn't so sure about that because, as you know, my dream incorporated much more than just the eye. This led to my researching Freemasonry and what the all-seeing eye symbolized in ancient times, but this gave me no real insight into what the dream actually signified. By 2010, I had finished my education and was working in State College, Pennsylvania. That year, I had painted something similar to the all-seeing eye. It was a circle inside of a square, inside of a triangle, inside of another circle. See that symbol in the center of the cross? I later found out that what I had painted was the ancient pagan symbol for alchemy. What makes this relevant to my dream? While searching the web for the meaning of this symbol, I stumbled upon a picture, actually a logo. This logo was the exact image I had seen in my dream 6 years prior. After discovering this, I then believed that I had some strange psychic connection to the NSA and Homeland Security. Unfortunately, it wasn't until 2014 that I started connecting the dots. My grandmother had been displaying some very strange behaviors which started back when I lived there and still continue to this day. She started acting unusually paranoid of people driving up and down our dirt road. Then she quit writing her short stories and became completely paranoid of Facebook and deleted her account. I asked her why she quit writing. She said that people were watching her and stealing her stories. She couldn't explain to me how, but she just knew she was being watched. She has said that she can hear voices being emitted through the television. She has a strong ringing in her ears, strange pain in the center of her skull, and hears humming so loud that she feels the vibration. I wish I had listened to my grandmother when the first signs of this targeting had arisen. I only took notice that it was more than mental illness when I found a YouTube video chat of people from the European Coalition Against Electronic Harassment and Surveillance. These people described in detail of their accounts regarding being watched, hearing voices coming from different devices in their homes, and feeling vibrations, only with other matching symptoms. The most convincing part is the stalking seems to be noticed before all the other symptoms set in. Then I found out that the U.S. has a group called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance, containing members explaining the same type of experiences. As we know, the Total Information Awareness Office was terminated from government in 2004. The same year I experienced my dream, and my grandmother, among many others, started telling people they believed they were being watched. I believe that after the U.S. Congress shut this program down, it has been secretly carried out through different fractions of the Navy, including a program that issues civilian ham radios with equipment, or ham radio operators with equipment that is capable of this type of surveillance. The program is called MARS, Military Auxiliary Radio Services. I believe that my grandparents' neighbors have been involved with these, or issued these government devices to perform secret surveillance experiments on us, using both a software program through the ham radio and an open source software package, OpenBTS, through the cell tower. Brother R's wife, C, has the maiden name Hicks. Coincidence? Maybe. I haven't been able to figure out any relationship to Brian Hicks as of yet. The fact that these two brothers have been heavily involved in technology, coincidence? Maybe. The fact that one of them runs a database collecting website called Intercept Radio, coincidence? Maybe. The fact that Edward Snowden, someone my age, would leave everything behind in his life to expose what the NSA is capable of, coincidence? Maybe. The fact that their father was in the Navy during an era in which began the experimental uses of this technology, coincidence? Maybe. Was my dream a coincidence? No, it wasn't. The reason I am writing is to inform the rest of humanity about how this technology is affecting people and expose those who feel it is okay to experiment with this type of harmful radiation on or around American citizens. Why are we funding our government to commit these crimes? Our Fourth Amendment rights are at stake, and it seems like no one cares. Not to mention, this type of technological use is hurting people's minds, bodies, and souls. It is up to the American people to decide how our future will be written. I am trying to get my message to Senator Rand Paul, who is working on shutting down these programs once and for all. I believe he understands that our liberties have been stolen from us and he can make it stop if given the power to do so. It is in my best interest to help people who have not been targeted understand that this surveillance is un-American, inhuman, and going on right under their noses. Thanks for everybody that listened.